So, welcome back to Policing TV and the second part of our interview with Robert Clark, the Commissioner for the Royal Anguilla Police Force. In the first half of our interview, we touched quite a bit on how Anguilla received support and worked with the other territories and Robert's journey to become the Commissioner. In this second half, we're really going to be focusing in on two things. Firstly, recruitment, or secondly, recruitment. But firstly, I wanted to start, because I know you've got some interesting stories and experiences in your 2.5 years in Anguilla that could maybe give people a flavour for the sorts of things they would encounter and be part of if they did reach out and want to be part of the force.
Sure.
So, anything come to mind, Robert?
I guess when you come here, the thing that really struck me, Ain, was the friendliness of the people on the island. It is such a polite society. To be honest, it's something that we've lost a little bit of in the UK. And what I mean is that, you'll go somewhere, you'll walk into a shop and someone will go morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or good night, just in a real friendly, happy way, and not to respond in it likewise is seen as rude. And I remember being back in Northern Ireland maybe last year. Why I went back in November, I have absolutely no idea. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But my wife had asked me would I nip down to the local deli to get a cup of coffee. And I did. And I had my big parka coat on because it was quite cold. And as I was walking along, there was a gentleman walking the other way. And I suppose it's just like everything else. When you're used to doing it so often, you don't think. And as I literally approached him and got up, I went, morning. And he just went, never spoke, and just walked on. It was like a real tumbleweed moment. And I went, it just made me think actually of, there's something really nice about the way people greet each other and, treat each other on the island on a sort of day-to-day basis. Which is really lovely. The other thing, I guess, about being commissioner here is that I think, as I said before, pretty much everybody knows who you are. People do like to talk. If you're out, you got to be prepared for people coming up and, talking about stuff that maybe happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever it happens to be. But there is a real sense of, wanting the commissioner to make a real difference to the island and a real support for the office of commissioner, irrespective of who holds it. So, there is a big expectation on you from people on the island, but it's an expectation that comes with support that you wouldn't always maybe get somewhere else. And look, a couple of sort of funny things, I guess. Even here, I'd worked with Secret Service back home when, presidents came. But, and I'll not name the agent, but President Biden's granddaughter was coming to the island for a break. And the Secret Service were obviously going to be looking after her for the days she was here. So the two lead agents had arrived. I came in on the Sunday. I needed to swear them in because that's how they carry their weapons on the island. So the two young gentlemen were there. He said to the first one, would you like to swear or affirm? And he goes, I'll not do the American accent, but I'll swear. I went, fine, take the book in your right hand and repeat after me. And I went, I followed by my full name. And he went, I followed by my full name. And it was one of those, what? And I just stopped and I looked at him and he looked at me and I went, really? I said, son, there's following instruction and following instruction. At which point we both burst out laughing. I said, now, one, are you definitely here to look after the president's granddaughter? And I said, 2, shall we start again? And he went, yeah, we'll start again. And I said, you do realize when the other 12 agents arrive, there's not going to be another word about this. So he got absolutely ribbed mercilessly for the next week. But it was just one of those moments of when he came out with it, it was just silence for a moment. And I suppose the second thing that really struck me about the way the island is relaxed and perhaps how high profile people really like to come here. So it was New Year's Eve. My wife and I had been down at a particular beach for a bit of the afternoon. And I got a phone call from one of the managers in a very expensive high-end hotel. And there was a music venue from the guy's called Banky Banks, very well known across the Caribbean, has his own place. And the manager goes, "Oh, I think I just need to let you know there's been a buyout at the Dune." And I went, "Oh, okay." I said, "Why do I need to know?" And the manager went, "Well, Paul McCartney will be there. His wife's going to be there. His son's going to be there. Bill Gates' daughter's going to be there." And then there was a slight pause, and she goes, "Yes, Madonna and her family are going to be there as well."
Wow.
And it was like, what? So, I'm there in my swimming shorts, and I walk into the venue, and I say to Banky, because he clearly didn't recognize me in my swimming shorts, of like, who's the tourist guy? I said, "Banky, look, is there something going on I need to know about?" And it was, no. I said, "No, look, you're having a closed event or something later." He went, "Oh, yeah. I said,
Relax.
Yeah. I said, you got security or anything?" No, it'll be fine. And I went, okay. So we had a bit of a chat, and I could imagine back home it would have been emergency gold meeting, emergency silver planning meeting, emergency this and the other, but it got done. Let me put it to you like that. But with about an hour and a half's notice. But it's just one of those really strange things on the island. Suddenly you'll hear celebrity A or B, or somebody's here. But again, that's the reason people like to come here, because they're just another person.
Are you notified every time somebody
No,
lists there? No, you just hear about it.
Yeah, not always. Of course, it depends. Some of them will bring security. So Michael Jordan and 2 plane loads down here a little while ago. Justin Bieber was here maybe a couple of years ago. He had his private security with him. So yeah, if they're going to do something like that, I might. But there's other people who will just slip on, slip off, and you won't even know they're here.
Wow. So turning to the recruitment side of things, you mentioned in our first video that you were probably about 25 officers short currently, and you were being lent officers from other territories such as the Cayman Islands. So I think people are always interested in the process, I guess. You mentioned that you had to do 3 interviews to get your position. Were you having to fly out each time?
No, it was all done. Unfortunately, not. No, it was all done via the media that we're doing it on. And look, I didn't realize until I'd spoken with the governor after a while. I was here. There was like 60 something people applied for the job.
But that's obviously from the commissioner role.
Yeah.
But I guess there are things like secondments, post-retirement positions, full-time positions. Are they all handled differently through the same medium? How would somebody go about finding out?
So it depends on the role. We will probably be looking for an assistant commissioner's post. That will be advertised across the region, maybe in the UK, probably through Police Oracle, I would have thought, if that's going to come out. When it comes to the sort of general recruitment. And look, we are going to recruit more. I've managed to get an increase of 11 staff this year to bring me up to 141. So there's going to be a significant recruitment drive going on, probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Again, that will be advertised on the Government of Anguilla website, and people can apply through that. You know, when it comes to could I see serving officers from the UK coming out, salary-wise, it might make it slightly difficult for them. If they were retired, it might be different. But Anguilla is quite expensive to live in. I know we're going through a wages review process at the moment that will, I hope, significantly uplift the salaries of the constables and the more junior ranks, because there hasn't been a significant pay rise in a while.
And the secondment side of things.
So the secondments are done in a couple of different ways. So I'm currently twinned with the Police Service of Northern Ireland. So I have an option to go to them to say, look, I want to do a piece of work, and would you be interested in sending someone out? But again, they've got to go through the policing board to do that. Or I could go to Andrew. So I'm currently a member of Leicestershire Police staff out here at the moment.
And Andrew Mundy.
Yeah. Or perhaps through the Home Office, because obviously GB policing, England and Wales, is done through the Home Office. So it could be an approach through them or through the FCDO to the Home Office to say, look, as has happened, I had a specialist search team out because I couldn't find a gun that had been used in a murder. So they came out, were out for about 8 or 9 days, found the weapon for me. But that was done through the mutual aid piece, but again, through the Home Office. If it's retired, again, it'll be probably through a framework. So you've got the likes of Red Snapper Group, Investigo, who are going to be on a framework that they can call off. So actually for retired officers, if it's something that interests you, then you probably need to find a company like that and register with them, make sure your CV's there, and then if I make the ask goes out to those companies, and they will trawl to get people out.
Fabulous. And then we'll put some links in the text accompanying this video if people are interested. An email address and potentially a couple of websites as well.
Sure.
But it sounds like there's multiple routes in there. But it's something that if you're interested, you need to look for, as opposed to it will.
It is. But
it looks like there's a lot of opportunity there. So
and across it's not just about here. There's opportunities across the other OTs, whether it's in FIU, financial investigation, CID, firearms. There is opportunity across all their territories.
Brilliant. Robert, thank you ever so much for your time. It's been really interesting, and hopefully for the viewers, informative, especially on the way of life in Anguilla, but also the potential for joining that as well.
Yes,
so thanks for your time, Robert. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Shane. Great to talk to you as always. Have a great day.